Hi and welcome. In this video I will be talking about this tool, which is one of my favorite tools along with decent hammers. This is a breaker bar or a flexible handle, however you call it. And in this video I will talk a bit about this particular model, and I will first talk about these tools in general and why I think they are a good thing to have. What this is used for is for primarily loosening stuck bolts or things that are very stuck where you need to apply a lot of force. Yes, I do have different sides of ratchet tools, and they do allow me to work faster and tighten everything to the required torque, but for loosening stuck things this is too expensive and the mechanism is too fine, so I would consider it abuse and a risk to damage it if I really put this with some sort of extension bar and really put all my strength in it. So for the really stuck stuff you need something simpler and more robust, so to speak. There are alternatives like these T-handles, and you can use those. I've used these in the past without problems. There are longer ones. You can also put some extension on it or some pipe and give yourself more leverage. But what I don't like about this is that this usually swivels too much, and this is a set angle and a set distance. Yes, you can use different kinds of adapters, but sometimes this one is not of a very high quality, but sometimes it is a problem with your hand. You can hit your knuckles or have problems maneuvering somewhere because you don't have enough space or room. While this tool, on the other hand, lets you pick whichever angle works best for you. So you can move your hand away or put it closer in, and once you loosen and get going something, you can put it like this and finish the job very quickly without even reaching for your ratchet. So for me this speeds up the work. This is with the 1/2 inch square adapter for socket wrenches, but it also fits all of my bottom bracket tools nicely and cassette tools. And for the really stuck monoblock bottom brackets I use this Shimano tool, and these splines don't fit all the way in, so usually at most they get 1/2 depth. So to prevent this from coming out, I use this thread. I'll thread it into the axle of the bottom bracket that I'm removing and use this washer to keep it in place. Then I use a 32mm socket, put it over it, and then I can use as much force, as much torque as I like with something like this. And of course the good idea is to make sure that you are pulling upwards, preferably with your back straight and with your knees and legs, to not hurt your back, or to avoid, if you are trying to push down, if it loosens very suddenly, you can make a nice roll or make something else funny or hurt yourself. So it's a good tool. This particular model is made by a manufacturer called Hogert, however it's pronounced. It's Polish manufacturer. I did not pay for this tool. I got it from a sponsor, but when I was looking for a tool like this, I had some bad experience with some very cheap, so to say, Chinese tools like this. I could not break this section, but this part I managed to break and mess it up. But this one holds up pretty well with stuck automobile wheel lugs and with very stuck bottom brackets. So I did put it through its paces, so to say, and I don't see any signs of this coming apart or anything. The mechanism is very simple. I did completely disassemble it, lubricate it just to prevent any rust and to prevent it from getting stuck, and put it back in place. And it basically has a small bearing ball that lets this have some friction so it stays in place, and it can be a bit more firmly locked in this position and in 2 positions to the sides, but it also stays nicely in place however you wish to put it onto whatever it is you're working on and get the job done. The lever is 457 millimeters, and for those who live on the wrong side of the Atlantic, that is about about half the distance from my shoulder to the end of my arm. I don't know how much this is in feet or inches, but it's fairly long, and I never needed any extensions with this, with the torques that and stock bolts that I had problems with, but of course that is always an option. You can also get shorter ones. Sometimes when you work in tight spaces, that can help. I work usually with bicycles and motorcycles mostly, so I don't have those problems, but I do like being able to move my knuckles away from some pointy stuff when I'm applying a lot of torque. What else do I need? Should I say about this? Yes, it cost about $15. I think this is a fairly simple tool, and I didn't think I should not have to pay $100 for something like this. Maybe there's something cheaper that works. Okay, the cheapest ones were not very good, but let's give this a try. So I gave it a go, and for now it's holding up pretty well. So basically all that manufacturers need to do with a tool like this is to use some decent quality, decently hardened steel so that it doesn't break too easily, and the whole mechanism is basically held by the geometry, and the axle in the middle is practically used just to keep this from flying out when you are adjusting it, so that it doesn't go out loose, but it's wedged between these two and has flat sides, so it cannot move anywhere even without this bolt, this like sort of a small axle. It's just to keep it in place so you can adjust it. And so far it seems okay. It has this serrated handlebar, and there's a hole so that you can put it somewhere if you want to how do I say, hang it. I like tools that have a designed way of hanging them. Sometimes for me it's more convenient to either temporarily place tools like that or to store them in a way on some wall hung. So that's a good idea. Otherwise I would have had to drill this to make a hole, so it saves some time. And it's not very nice drilling round diameter hardened steel. And that's the whole video. I don't think I forgot to mention anything. I hope you find this useful, and I'll see you in some other video. Cheers!